Hi, everyone, and welcome to Vikings Now, the podcast, as we look back at the Vikings defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars by a thrilling and scintillating total of 12-7. Don Mitchell, Pierre Nugent. This is not what anybody expected, Don. Everybody was saying, boy, load up on fantasy, guys, on the Vikings offense. It's a money day for anybody wearing purple on that offensive side of the ball, but it was not.
I thought for sure Justin Jefferson was going to feast. I thought they were just going to open things up, and it was going to be a track meet maybe even. And I wasn't dissing by any means Jacksonville, but I really thought that they would get it together. You know, the second half of the Colts game, they figured things out, but I was blown away by how inept the offense was.
Well, it seemed one man was inept on that offense.
You mentioned, you load up on the fantasy point. I feel like that was a direct shot at me as somebody who had multiple Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson stacks today and lost quite a bit of money. So I'm going to be working past the age of 65 here at Fox 9 after the absolute bloodbath I took today. Fantasy
Really?
wise.
I did not know that on the record. I did not know that.
He
on the record, I guess.
Fine.
No.
He loves to make an example out of me.
No,
he did.
Kids never start gambling.
No, definitely don't do that. Don't do that at all. But, this was, when you go into this game, you're looking at Jacksonville in particular, and the reason why I think a lot of us thought that Justin Jefferson would have a big day is because when you look at the stats and you look at the numbers, Jacksonville, second worst in the NFL in terms of pass defense on an average yards allowed per game. The only team that's worse in the NFL are the Baltimore Ravens, which you try to figure out how that's even possible because Baltimore typically is known for its stout defense, and they are still one of the premier teams in the NFL, but they've been able to get away with it all season long because they have Lamar Jackson. Well, Jacksonville doesn't have Lamar Jackson. Today they had Mac Jones, who is about the opposite you can get from Lamar Jackson, and it didn't work out too well today for Mac Jones and the Jacksonville Jaguars, but Minnesota fortunate to get it out of Jacksonville with the win today, especially with the way they played. I know we're going to get into it, but you shouldn't apologize for winning. The Vikings aren't going to be doing that, but a little fortunate today.
No, and obviously Darnold is the focus of everyone on social media, Don. Kevin O'Connell in the post-game press conference said he was never going to waver. He had confidence in what Sam was doing. He said a couple of the picks, the last two. The first one was a deflection. Second one shouldn't have been an interception because the ball hit the ground. So that should have been taken off the books. And the third one, I'm not sure quite what he was thinking there. But the question is that he said that it was just Darnold being aggressive and that he's got to find a happy road. Is this a coach just covering because he doesn't want pitchforks outside of TCO calling for Darnold to go and Nick Mullins or someone else to come strolling through those gates?
It just looked on some that, yes, you want to throw it to tight windows to Justin Jefferson. I know that we hear that all the time that he wants to be the one. If it's single coverage, go route, in man-to-man, give me the ball. But sometimes you also have to play it smart. If you have someone else that's open, you can go to the open man and not fire it into triple-double coverage or underthrow the ball. Yes, I think that one that was in the end zone, definitely that was not an interception. But I don't know. Just watching, he was mad. He was kind of playing like he was second-guessing himself. Many times we talked about this in the post-game show. Darnold had time, and he didn't make the right decision.
Right.
So I'm not quite
and that's
sure
what I think is the
there.
most concerning thing out of it, right? Mm-hmm. You look at it, and he's right there, and he's got the time. They weren't duress interceptions where he's running for his life and he just throws it or tries to make something happen. They were kind of head-scratching picks.
There was even one to Josh Oliver. Now, it was great. It was like a little dink and dunk, but I was even like holding my breath on that, and he made it look like a spectacular catch. It really was.
Right. Well, it was a bullet. It was from me to you away, and he threw it as hard as he could. It seemed like.
So just things like that. I just think that Sam Darnold was a little bit off today. The offensive line gave him room. Yes, not all those. The stats for the interceptions doesn't really say how bad or good he was that way, but going forward, it's a little concerning. Josh Oliver and TJ Hawkinson cannot be your main targets for the rest of the season.
Right. Pierre, you like to weigh in on these quarterbacks. By the way, you have comments, just put them on there. We'll see them on the YouTube channel, and we'll chime in if we agree. Also, the desk, last time they said when we had the new one, We told them, and they said it looked like we went to IKEA.
Yeah.
It looked terrible.
Yeah.
So what about this one? We've
I
taken
missed
over
the IKEA desk.
This one.
This one's a little more expensive than the IKEA desk.
Welcome
I
to
think.
my house here,
no
right?
kidding.
It's the IKEA penthouse.
Well, to answer your question, the word that comes to mind when I was watching Sam Darnold today is forced. Every single interception that was thrown today looked forced. The first one, even if it was a single coverage, it was a quick route that Justin Jefferson, but that ball was forced in. It was deflected and tipped into the air. An interception. Justin Jefferson was well covered on that play. I said in the postgame show to Pete Bursich, the second interception, while I agree with Don, I think the officials got the call wrong in terms of replay. I thought that was dropped in the end zone. It wasn't controlled.
Right.
I think that call should have been reversed. Nevertheless, like I said to Don and to Pete in the postgame show, I don't have any horse in this race, but I could feel myself being physically angry watching that second interception because Sam Darnold had all day to throw on that play. And instead of just sailing the ball out of the back of the end zone, which is what he should have done, and live to fight another day, knowing that all of his guys were well covered, he threw not only behind Justin Jefferson, but low. And it was just, I couldn't understand the decision to throw that ball in that situation. You know, when you sit back there in the pocket and you got the mental clock, he had to have gotten to at least 5. Once you get there and you don't see anybody, throw it out of the back of the end zone and try for the next down. He didn't do that on that play, and that really upset me watching that. I said, how can you make a decision like this? The second interception to me was the most egregious. The third, also a bad decision as well because Justin Jefferson was double covered on that play. Don't really know why you're trying to fit it in those windows, try to force it into Justin Jefferson. I get it, he's your best player, but
it wasn't even a good throw.
It wasn't.
To him.
It wasn't.
Jefferson was probably the one who had the least ability to make the catch on that ball.
You're right. It wasn't, and that's why it's not so much for me. It's the throws, which I agree with you. The throw wasn't great on third one. It's the decision. It's the decision-making process that I saw today that made me think that Sam Darnold took a half step back today. Credit to Jacksonville. You know, they played their tails off on defense. Their defense really had to pull through for them today with Mac Jones starting at quarterback instead of Trevor Lawrence. But I didn't like what I saw in terms of the decision-making process from Sam Darnold today. Just didn't like it.
So is it a problem moving forward, or is this a one-off in your mind?
I don't know. I think we've seen little hints of it being a problem already. I mean, they pulled it together in the second half of the Colts game. But I think everything, I know we're hearing Justin Jefferson needs to get more catches, you know, and he's been in his ear too. Listen, I can double team, you know, I can be double teamed and still get the ball. You still have to make a smarter decision. You're right. It's kind of like, and you're having plenty of time to do it. So where is the synapse, you know, the time to make the decision, and then you still make the wrong one. So I don't know. I'm not thinking it's a one-off, but I don't know if it's a huge problem. I'm kind of like in the middle on that.
Yeah, and Jim, this offense has disappeared at times over the last 4 or 5 weeks. They've just, someday, you know, we go back to the Green Bay game where they were, you know, all systems go in the first half in Green Bay, completely went away in the second half. Last week, like Don mentioned, against the Colts in the first half, where was this offense? Nowhere to be found. Today, where was this offense? Nowhere to be found. I've seen enough of a repeated performance and repeated consistent behavior from the Minnesota offense over those last 4 or 5 games to where I'm not pressing the panic button, but I sure as heck know where the panic button is located. I can tell you that right now because this offense is not looking good. It's not looking sharp. They're not on time. They're not in a rhythm. Aaron Jones has been the most consistent presence on this offense really throughout the entire season. So I'm starting to think to myself, you know, Kevin O'Connell, if he's going back to the film room, which I know he is, he's going to be thinking to himself, well, I got to get it together here. We really got to get it together here because right now this offense is not striking any fear into the heart of any opposing defenses.
And it should. It should.
Yeah, it should. I agree.
Especially now you have Hawkinson back.
I agree.
So that has been the big missing X factor all season is that big man in the middle really going to help Darnold become a better, more efficient quarterback because he doesn't have to force it to Jefferson. He doesn't have to force it to Addison. He's got options, including Jones coming out of the back. The offense is completely healthy right now, except for Darrisaw.
Correct.
And the pressure wasn't a problem for him at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, here you had mentioned coming into it, and like, yes, every team can have its day, but Jacksonville's defense gave up an average of 260 or more yards via the air every single game. Coming into this, let's look at it. Hawk, 8 receptions, 72 yards. Jets, 5 receptions, 48 yards. Addison, 2 for 25, and Naylor, 1 for 11. That's pathetic.
Yeah, it really, and Don brought it up in the postgame show as well, and you just mentioned it a moment ago. Christian Darrisaw is obviously a big piece to this offense, and he was missing. But today's 12 points on the board is not because Christian Darrisaw isn't starting at left tackle for you today. You know, kudos to Cam Robinson, who got the revenge game, the revenge victory against his old team as well today. 9 targets for Hawkinson, 9 targets for Justin Jefferson. That led the team in targets. Josh Oliver, 6 targets on the day.
Hey, 6 targets. He's becoming good.
All of a sudden, I'm starting to think, do we have 2 tight end packages in our future here with TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver moving forward? With the way Josh Oliver caught the ball today and the way he was running routes, I don't see why not. But yeah, the one guy I'm starting to wonder, we joked about this last week, Jim. If I'm Jordan Addison, I'm having a hard time trying to get a coach in my face to tell me why I shouldn't be frustrated. Because a lot of the attention is on Justin Jefferson. TJ Hawkinson obviously adds another wrinkle into the situation. You always have to account for him.
Right.
Addison, solid route runner, great hands. He's not seeing the ball a lot.
No.
And if I was him,
or the targets at all.
Yeah, if I'm Jordan Addison, I'm starting to think to myself, explain to me why I shouldn't be frustrated. Because
bring back free 3. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not even so much suggesting that, but at the same time too, if he's frustrated, which I would venture a guess as to he is, I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
He's targeted 5 times, caught 2 for 25 yards.
Sure.
That was it.
Yeah.
2. Oh, targeted 5 times, caught 2.
Caught 2, yep. But the tight ends, they gobbled up 15, half of the receptions
15
today.
Total targets, yeah.
12 catches out of the 24 completions between Hawkinson and Oliver. So do we now have a check down Charlie situation here with Darnold? Everybody didn't like Kirk Cousins and his use of the bailout, dropping it off to either a back or a tight
today,
end.
By the way.
At the end of the game.
Yeah.
At the end of the game.
That was a little bit short of what they needed there.
Yeah. I don't even if they do, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, depending on what you're doing on offense and given the flow of the offense, given the game plan, the game script, and how things formulate throughout a game. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But at the same time, we know that this offense wants to be aggressive. We've seen them try to take deep shots. They tried to take another deep shot here today. Sam Darnold was actually bailed out on another interception, if my memory serves me correctly, through another interception that went deep, but it was called back via penalty.
Correct.
So they want to be aggressive. They're trying to be aggressive. The timing of this, I said it earlier. It's just nothing looks like it's on time and going to pace with this offense. That's really what I find to be kind of the most concerning part.
And I think it goes back to Darnold. I think it goes back to the guy who has the ball in his hands is where the issues are. I mean, the Vikings had the ball for over 42 minutes today. That's the most that any team had the ball, time of possession, in the entire National Football League this year. And they were a last-second drive away from losing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just mind-blowing that you had the ball that much and all you could generate was 4 field goals.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I love KO's play calling, but sometimes you don't have to get cute and tricky all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just play to your strengths and go for it, and see where it lands. You don't have to have Aaron Jones catching out of the backfield from a Justin Jefferson pass or vice versa or anything going on.
Are you referencing the Jalen Naylor end around late in the game on first down? Yeah,
you don't have to get cute.
Didn't
just
love
play
that.
the game.
Well, and he got cute because he should have just took the field goal and took the lead there. Instead, he went for it on the 4th and 1. I wasn't a big fan of that call. No, because
the kicker's already kicking. Let him get it.
Right. The guy's fine. Romo's
Two plays
fine.
later ended up kicking it in.
The way that offense was going, and Darnold and his decision making, you just laid it out why you shouldn't have him decide your game for you. Get the lead and then go figure it out from there.
Yeah, but I don't.
Because all it did was obviously, obviously, hindsight is 2020 because the resulted in the nailer end around. They lost yards. They didn't go anywhere and basically kicked it from a farther distance or the exact same spot where you took that risk again.
I would say in that particular situation right there, just because your kicker had made 3 straight doesn't mean he's
no. That would have. I think that one gave him the lead.
It did. They were already up 9-7 at the time.
Was
were they
it?
not? Yeah, they were. Yeah, when they went for it on fourth down. When they went for it on fourth down, they were already up 9-7 at that time. If memory serves me
They'll
right.
let us know.
But
comments will let us know. Jimmy, you're an idiot.
On a 4th and 1,
you're not smart.
On a 4th and 1,
Don,
in
you're
that
great.
situation,
That's
I'm
what the
almost
laws say under there.
I'm almost certain they were up 9-7, but I didn't have a problem going for it there because, let's be honest, the Jags offense, I understand the situation.
Yes,
if you're
look at your own offense. Just get the lead and then figure it out.
I agree with Don.
And obviously, he's not confident in his quarterback, or he wouldn't draw up some bizarre end around a nail.
Now that I remember it, they were up 9-7 at the time because I remember thinking if you go for it on fourth down and get into the end zone and make it a 16-7 game, the game is essentially over. It's a 2-possession game. You're going to go on to win the game. So I didn't mind the aggression. I felt like in a 4th and 1, 4th and inches, that was an appropriate time to get aggressive. I didn't have a problem with that play call at all.
I'm right.
No, there's no way you're right.
Yes.
There's no way.
4th and 1 at the 15.
At the Jacksonville 15?
Yeah, that's when they went for it.
I know when they went for it. I'm telling you what the score was at the time. It was 9-7.
According to ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, you're right. It's 9-7.
Yeah, see? There you go.
I would have made it 12-7.
There you go. Thank you very much.
No, wait, what? Wait, no.
No. Trust me, Jim. I think in that situation right there, I think, like I said, I think that is an appropriate time to get aggressive and go for a 4th and 1 to try to not only milk the clock
that gives them the
quarter.
lead 9-7. Here, you look at it.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. If I'm wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong.
Don, we'll talk a little bit. Let's talk about the defense while you look at that and straighten it out, since everybody's bored with us arguing over a play-by-play that we can't get right. This defense has been spectacular. You get Cashman back today, and all of a sudden, it seemed like it got its swagger back.
Absolutely, and we were saying this in the postgame show. Cashman back, things got back to where it was. Once he is there, not only is the communication clearer, he's also a beast. Yes, he had that face mask, but he also had the sack, and just things were going so smooth. It opened up Jonathan Grenard to really be aggressive, and also Gink. And he didn't have his pick 6, but he did have a sack. So I love to just see how, no disrespect to anyone else that was trying to fill in for him, but Blake Cashman just is really good about keeping the timing, getting the play calls out, doing what he has to do. I was just really happy with it because they came away with 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, and a fumble recovery. Pretty sweet. And even at the beginning of the year, the offense had to depend on the defense to bail them out a little bit again. I think the defense is kind of like they wanted to pick 6, put more numbers on the board. Everyone would like that. But just to see across the board, it wasn't just one person. Byron Murphy Jr. again, Cam Bynum, Harrison Phillips. I loved seeing the defense get their swagger back exactly like you just said.
I just want to point out, I stand corrected. I was mistaken. Jim was right in terms of that situation on the 4th and 1, so. Actually, and I said, but
does it change your thought on it? Just quickly, does it change your thought? You still would have went for it?
No, yeah, it doesn't change my mind at all, and I'll tell you why. Because Jacksonville's offense doesn't scare you whatsoever. You have a strong feeling you're probably going to force 3 and out and get the ball back and have another opportunity to go down the field and score again. So in that situation, I didn't mind it. If it was 4th and 3, I'd be like, maybe not. But 4th and 1, 4th and a half yard, I think if you can't convert it, maybe you don't deserve to win the game.
I know, but your offense is struggling all day.
Yeah.
Let's just get the points, get the lead, take the pressure off them. That's all I was thinking. Yeah. What did your summation of the defense today? How much do you think Cashman played into it? How much did the ineptitude of Mac Jones play into it?
A little bit of both. I know that's not the answer that I think a lot of people want to hear. I mean,
it's true, though.
I think 2 things can be true at the same time. Blake Cashman returning to the lineup for the Vikings was a big shot in the arm for this defense. I mean, he is really, he wears the green dot. He's the guy quarterback of the defense, really. So when you have that guy back in the lineup, obviously that's going to elevate your defense to another level. Sack on the day for Blake Cashman, disruptor all day long. Mac Jones is I don't know. At the same time, I don't know if Mac Jones was taken 15th overall in the first round, and right now I'm not even sure he's good enough to be a backup in this league, and that helped the Vikings in this situation if Trevor Lawrence was in the game. Not that Trevor Lawrence has been a world beater of his own after being taken #1 overall a few years ago. But I like your chances a lot more with Trevor Lawrence than I do with Mac Jones. So I think the Vikings caught a little bit of a break there with Trevor Lawrence not being able to play in this game.
Yeah, 111 yards isn't going to scare too many people.
No.
This team moving forward, the problems that arose today, and I just keep coming back to Darnold because to me that looks like a red flag that's starting to crop up back there. Is this going to be an issue? And remember, I said to sign the guy. It's on there.
You did.
I still say sign him because you can sell him and get something for him. But I digress. 7-2. So all of a sudden you look like a real contender. But are all these pieces here for this to be a contending team? Don?
Absolutely, but if you get to the red zone, you have to score. And when I mean score, I just can't get threes. 7 touchdown-less trips in the Jags 30. With all the names that you see on paper there, I'm sorry, that's just not good enough. So going forward, is that a concern? Does it stem from Darnold? We got to figure that. As I said, we have to go to the tape and figure that out. But yeah, we know that there's
Thank you, Coach
issues,
O'Connell.
But they got to fix that first and foremost. You can't give the ball away, especially in the red zone. And that they're shooting themselves in the foot left and right. They're their own worst enemy.
What do you mean by contender?
Well, what do we want around here?
Could have been a contender.
We want that is
Super Bowls.
correct. That is correct. We're tired of honoring Chuck Foreman for being the last one to get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Chuck would like to see another team get there. Just like Kent Herbeck's tired of seeing the old yellowed 91 World Series T-shirts walking around town. The boss are doing a number on them.
This team is certainly good enough to make the playoffs. It's certainly in the driver's seat to make the playoffs, whether it's via winning the NFC North or via wild card.
Yes.
It's more likely, in my opinion, that this team will be in the postseason via wild card than the NFC North because I think we have to pay attention to the Detroit Lions and how strong that team is. Green Bay is also still lingering. But if this team gets into the playoffs, I think they can win a game. Do I think that they can get to the Super Bowl? No, I don't. As constructed right now. Like we've been talking about, this offense right now is not striking fear into your opponent by any means. Doesn't mean they can't get it corrected.
Right.
But even as is, as steady as Sam Darnold has been for the most part of the season, I don't view Sam Darnold as having the type of ability, and I can't really trust Sam Darnold fully in a big game situation like that when you're on the road in the NFC wild card to get you over the hump and get you to the following week. I mean, maybe it happens. This team has played great complementary football all year long. You know that's been my favorite word all season long throughout Vikings now.
Love it.
But at some point, your quarterback's going to have to make a play, especially in the postseason. Do I trust Sam Darnold enough to do it? Not right now, I don't.
Yeah,
no.
but complimentary wasn't today. Your offense got to show up in order for it to be complimentary.
2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 phases, though, were good. 2 out of 3 phases were good.
So here's the other thing, right? So I think O'Connell has to figure out what kind of offense he wants to run because we're taking deep shots that aren't successful. We're trying to run the ball. And Aaron Jones is not, what do they call him, bell cow backs?
A bell cow type back. I mean,
right. He's not a guy he's not an Earl Campbell. He's not going to take 40 times and just punish the defense. He's close to getting snapped in half on one of these carries, as happened today for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so he's got to really figure out what exactly he wants this offense to look like. Is it involving the tight ends more, like he did today? Is it more that it's going to gamble and take those deep shots? Because I don't think you can run the ball every time. Because when Jones isn't in there, he averaged over 5 today. Cam, 2.9. Darnold had 4 yards per carry. Chandler, 4.5, but he only had 4 carries.
Yeah.
And the rest, not much there. So I think he's got to figure out just what this offense can do consistently.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah.
I do agree. I think the running game, as we always know, opens up everything else. We thought with Hawkinson coming back, that would open the running game a little bit more. They didn't get that much, but they got 88 yards from Aaron Jones today.
Yeah, they were 169.
Yeah.
It's almost 4 yards per carry. So that, I mean,
But
that's
like we were talking earlier, there's no huge breakthrough for runs, right? So if you're just going to advance it a little bit and open it up, I want to see you open it up. If you're going to be known as that, if you're going to have a Justin Jefferson, you're going to have to open it up. You got to find a way to get the ball to your playmakers.
right, because this may show other teams, if you take Jefferson out of the equation, whether, again, we'd have to look at the film to figure out how they defended him, but it always seemed like there were people around him.
Yeah.
There was traffic around him every time the ball went in his direction.
No question. And, the ability to run the ball and the way that they were able to run the ball today, the way they've been able to run the ball with Aaron Jones all season, that opens up your play action options, and I'm sure that opens up things further for you on the offensive side of the ball.
But can you count on him for 17 weeks?
Well,
because I think we looked it up before the start of the year.
He never
two
played
seasons where he played a full season.
Yeah, he even admitted he's never had this kind of load before, but he's welcoming it. But can he?
Well, of course he'll say that. I mean, that's Aaron. That's what's so cool about the guy.
I think I wouldn't call this team a run-first offense. I know that they want to run it consistently with Aaron Jones, and obviously they've been enjoying Aaron Jones given the way they were able to run the ball or not able to run the ball all of last season. So in terms of leaning on him to be this, I know this is a terrible example, but no man is Derrick Henry. But obviously, if you have a guy like him, he's going to be the focal point of your offense, and you want to be a run-first team. That's not this offense. This offense, wants to take shots. This offense wants to thread the needle to Justin Jefferson. This offense wants to try to set up a deep shot to Jordan Addison downfield. So, I think that it just goes back to timing. I think the timing and the rhythm of the offense is off right now. I can't really explain why that is. Kevin O'Connell's going to have to figure out why that is.
Right.
But they're going to have to figure it out in a hurry because, they're not going to be facing cupcakes every single week. They had Jacksonville today. They'll have Tennessee next week. But Tennessee is a team that came into this week as the number one pass defense in the NFL. So they're not just going to roll over for you just because their season's going down the toilet. So there's work to do. There is work to do for Kevin O'Connell in this offense.
Well, and I think you kind of hit it on the rhythm of this offense and what it's trying to do, because all the pieces were back now, and Hawkinson had another game, and you didn't get into the end zone once.
And you held the ball for over 42 minutes, and you didn't get in the end zone.
Yes.
That's obviously turnovers, explain it, but when you hold the ball for over 42 minutes, boy, and you don't get in the end zone, not a great look.
It's your problem, not the other.
Not a great look.
It's not coming from the other team.
All right, defensively, the stars of the game obviously were the back end, the interceptions. Cashman led the way with tackles, but they got off the field. That, I think, was key more so than the turnovers, is they didn't let Jacksonville stay out there. Because we've talked about it before, right? When we ran the scripted plays, the offense has got that rhythm. They're moving the ball. They're getting things done. And today, that didn't even happen during the scripted plays. But defensively, the defense always had these moments where, that half was not pretty. Today, it was consistent start to finish.
Well, although I do think the defense was not happy, then you have a guy like Mac Jones who gets a touchdown and your own team doesn't. I think that touchdown was a little smelling salts, the hockey smelling salts for them today, because they're like, oh no, this is not how it's going to go down today. And I think they pushed it after that. That's a good wake-up call for them.
Yeah, and Jacksonville, obviously, without a starting quarterback, they lost Tank Bigsby early in the game. That also doesn't help their cause either on offense. I believe Jacksonville's held under 200 yards of total offense today. I mean, no matter who's at quarterback, no matter who's in your game, this is an NFL caliber roster. Holding a team to under 200 yards of total offense, hats off to you. I mean, that's really well done. Great game plan by Brian Flores today. They got the job done.
They did. All right, so this team sits 7-2. Now all of a sudden there's breathing room. Because of this 2-game winning streak, they still have 2 more on the road. Are you overall happy with where you sit 9 weeks into the season?
I think you have to be thrilled. I don't know, even though that I don't feel like this team is playing great football right now, I think we also have to keep going back to perspective. At the beginning of the season, I'm not sure if many people had the Vikings over 7 total wins for the entire season. They've got 7 wins through 10 weeks, and you're sitting at 7-2.
True.
So I don't know how you could be anything other than thrilled about where the Vikings are right now. I understand that you may not be feeling great about the way that they're playing in this very moment, but a win is a win. And listen, there are a lot of other teams out there that would love to be 7-2. Trust me. They don't care if you win 12-7, 3-0. I don't care what team it is. You'd love to be 7-2 right now, no matter what how you got there.
I agree with you that they're thrilled at 7-2, but I don't agree that there's breathing room. Like, I kind of feel like it's like a 7-2, like you're holding it right here. You know, like you just can't give up. You look at the way the Lions are playing, and you have got to play your best ball every time now. You can't really make a mistake because just how powerful. If you want to win the division first, you got to keep your eye on the prize. And the way the Lions are playing, let's not even look at the Packers right now or the Bears, because the Bears can bite you even when they play terrible. We've seen that happen.
Yes, numerous times.
There's no breathing room. But 7-2, yes, you'll take it, but you gotta clean up your own house.
Packers are only a game back too. Yeah, 6-3. So.
They're lurking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're lurking. All right. Let us know if you're panicking. Here, there's not much panic, but there is definitely things that need to be improved. Thank you.
Jim loves to read your comments, by the way. He loves
I
to
do.
read them.
I bring them up all the time. Hey, look at Pierre. This guy loved your comment here. Don,
I don't read them.
Outstanding
I
analysis.
just listen to what Jim tells me. I don't read them at all.
Oh, yes, you do. You're right there going, look at this guy. Are you kidding? Who is this guy? All right, that'll do it for us. We appreciate you, as always, watching all the way to the bitter end. And we will see you next week after the Tennessee game when the Vikings continue on the road. 7-2. Oh, wait. Where can we find this?
Fox 9 YouTube page, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, that's where you can find us.
Fox Local.
Fox Local as well for the Vikings Now podcast. Yes.
All right. Twitter handle, where could they chirp at you directly if they'd like?
Dawn at Fox 9, but it's Dawn AT Fox 9. Both Instagram and Twitter.
At the Nuge, Fox 9, Nouj.
There you go. All right. You now know where to find us. We
Where do
will
we
see
find
you
you,
next
Jim?
time. Nowhere.
At the bar.
I can't. That would be awesome. This would be a good chair to take there, by the way, because you could just kind of relax a little bit. You know, all I need is a footstool over here. Okay, stop the tape. That's enough. We will see you next week.